All right, can you share your network diagram in WhatsApp? Can you do it now? Can I see your network diagram? Faris Hafiz? Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you very much, Suhail. Ini apa nama dia ni? Ini siapa Suhail? Apa ni nama ni?
Suhail Azmin.
Suhail Azmin. Oh, that is the one. Okay. Thank you, Suhail Azmin. All right. See, you have 14 completion week. Okay, Suhail, make sure you draw the arrow, eh?
Okay, Doctor.
All right, good. All right. Okay, so now, okay. It is known to us that this project actually need to be crashed to 10 weeks. So what we need to do is we need to calculate the crash cost, okay? So you need to create another column here. So this one is crash cost per week. All right. So can we calculate the crash cost for it? All right. If you want to calculate the crash cost per activity, all right, always refer to this formula. Okay. The crash cost normally will be higher than the normal cost. And the normal time will be higher than crash time. Okay, faham eh? Faham?
Faham, Doctor.
Apa maksud dia tu? Why crash cost is always higher than normal time? Kenapa? Kenapa eh? Why crash cost is always normal to why crash cost is always higher than normal time, and why normal time is always higher than crash time. Okay, let's see this activity. Okay, so for this activity A, okay, if you able to complete within 3 weeks, okay, the cost incurred to complete within 3 weeks for cost for activity A is 1,000. If you want to reduce working time from 3 to 2, meaning that you shorten by 1 week, you need to add up more resources. Like you need to add up more machines, more labors and those kind of things. For those adding up of the labors and all the resources, you need to have the extra cost. So that is the reason why crash cost always higher than normal cost. Faham Faham? Faham?
Faham.
Okay, so for activity A, crash cost, what is the crash cost? For activity A, crash cost is the difference between crash cost and normal cost, which is 600, and the difference between normal time and crash time is 1. So the crash cost for activity A is 600 per week. Okay, and what is the crash cost for activity B? So the difference between normal cost and crash cost is 700. And the difference between normal time and crash time is 1. So that one is 700 per week. Okay. Okay, activity C is 0. Activity D. Okay, can you determine the crash cost per week for activity D? Berapa?
75.
75 per week. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay. What about crash cost for activity E?
50 dollar.
50.
Right, good. Thank you. And for F?
1000.
1,000.
1,000. Okay, good. And for G?
250.
250. All right. All right. So based on your network diagram, okay, you can determine that your critical activities are C, A. A ke C tu? A, D and G kan? So your critical activities are A, C and G kan? Betul? Semua dapat sama? Bukan C.
LDG.
Dia bukan C, dia D. Kenapa C itu bukan critical activity? Kenapa dia bukan critical activities on the critical path? Kenapa? Dan oh, saya tahu salah. Suhail orang tak notice ke Suhail? Awak punya awak punya kenapa salah awak punya masa tu? Orang lain tak perasan, sepatutnya dekat end note. Okey, dekat end note kamu letak time 10-10 dan dia punya activity takes 0 time. So that is the reason why you get your F, your activity, your latest start or latest finish for F is wrong. Okay, boleh siapa-siapa hantar yang mana yang betul? Suhail, do you know? Where did you do wrong? Perasan tak Suhail?
Perasan.
Okay, boleh buat balik tak? Apa ni? Network diagram is very important. Okay, or somebody else, okay, who got it correct, will you please share? Okay, boleh. Boleh, can someone share your network diagram? Can I see the correct network diagram? Come on, hurry up. Let me see your network diagram. Come on. Where is everybody? Is everybody here? Come on, come on. Where is everybody? Come on. Can you hear to my voice? Can you hear my voice? Okay, good. Yes, Christopher, yours also got it wrong. Your end node should have the value of 14. Yours is wrong, Christopher. Suhail is correct. It's just that Suhail did not write the proper values for end node. That's it. Okay, Suhail, can you do correction for your network diagram? Then we will proceed discussing this question. All right, where's everybody? Okay, buka kamera semua. Semua buka kamera. Okay, can I have a network diagram for this question? Okay, with a correct earliest start, latest start, and latest finish and earliest finish time. Rushaidi punya pun salah. Alright, next is from Muzammil. Yes. Yours is correct, Muzammil. Okay. Okay, Al-Fuzal also correct. Tapi Al-Fuzal ni saya tak nampak sangat jadi too small. Too blur, very blurry. So that's correct. So our critical activities are A, D, and G. All right. So now it's time to crash the course. All right. So now you need to crash the course from 14 to 10. Okay. So if you want to crash the course, all right. Remember these two rules. Okay. Rule number one, okay, write it down. Okay, rule number one, if you want to crash activity, you need to select the critical activities. Okay, only select critical activities to do the crashing. That is rule number one. Okay, rule number two, okay, if you're looking at the critical activities, okay, which is okay, A, D, and G, always select the cheapest cost, cheapest crashing cost. Okay, those are two tips or two rules that you need to follow. And rule number three, and somehow this rule number three, somehow is not applicable, but it is good to know this rule number three. Okay, rule number three is if you want to crash, it is advisable to crash 1 unit time at a time. Okay, meaning to say that if you want to crash 14 to 10, meaning that, okay, you need to crash 1 week at a time. But for this question, it looks like that you can select activity D, okay, and crash 4 weeks in a one shot, okay. For normal time, okay, it is 7 weeks, okay, and crash time takes 3 weeks, meaning that you can crash 4 weeks, okay. So on your network diagram, okay, for activity D, instead of 7, okay, you put 4. Okay, then you recalculate the completion time. Can you do it now? right, can you show the new network diagram after you crashing activity D from 7 to 4? May I know the new completion time after crashing activity D?
Eleven, Doctor.
You got it 11? Okay, if you got it 11, so everybody got it 11? Can you share your network diagram? Can you share your network diagram? Is it 11 or 12? Christopher got it 12. Yeah, it is 12, not 11. Okay, so you need to crash 2 more weeks. Okay, you need to crash 2 more weeks. Okay, you have crashed 4 weeks and then the additional cost is 74 multiplied by 4, which is 300 kan? So the first additional cost is 300. Okay. Okay. What is next? Cheapest. Which activity to select on A? So for this new, the critical activities still happen on A, D, and G. Okay. So so this one you cannot select anymore because you already consumed all the 4 weeks, okay, to be crashed. All right, the next one is activity G. All right, so for G, you may crash 2 weeks because that is the maximum crash time for G, which is 2 weeks. All right, and the additional cost is 500. All right, so can you replace activity G instead of 4? You put 2 and then can you determine the completion time? Boleh? Faham tak faham? Faham tak? Ada soalan nak tanya? Mesti ada soalan nak tanya. Cuma saya tak tahu awak nak tanya soalan apa. Cuba awak tanya.
Doktor,
Saya.
kalau yang G tu tukar from 4 to 2, D tu still 4
Yes, D still 4. Good. Good question. So now you create the network analysis based on the network that you have crashed D from 7 to 3. Oh, crash time is 3. Oh, no wonder lah. D tu sebenarnya, Christopher, you don't put value 4. You crash 4 days, 4 weeks, meaning that from 7 to 3. No wonder lah tak dapat. Orang lain tak perasan? So can you put D instead of 4 is 3. If you put 4, meaning that you crash 3 weeks only. If you put 3, maknanya 3 tu maksudnya 3 weeks. Okay. Time to complete activity D. So from 7, you crash 4, meaning that it takes 3 weeks to complete. If you put 4, meaning that you crash only 3 weeks. So orang lain dapat sama tak dengan Christopher? So can you change the time for D, instead of 4 you put 3. No wonder tak dapat. Boleh? Okay. Dapat tak? So the one is 3. 3 plus 3, 6. So yang itu 7. Oh sama juga, masih tak dapat. Sebab earlier start bagi G tetap 8 kan? Okay, good. Okay. You still have a 12. Okay, betul. Cuma D tu, time for D salah. Itu je. Okay, awak faham tak apa yang saya cakap ni? Risau saya, takut saya bebel seseorang saja. Faham tak? Can you change? Okay, go GZ. Okay, did you manage to get the network diagram correct? Go GZ.
Yes, Doctor, still drawing.
Dan have you changed the time for D 3? Instead of 4, you put 3. But your completion time, Christopher, you still get 12, Christopher. Because the earliest start for activity G is 8. Okay, Christopher? You got it? But the time at D is 3 instead of 4. Okay, so we need to, so the completion time for all activities. And Christopher, your latest finish for activity F is not 3, but it is 12. Sorry, it is 14. It's 14, Christopher. Your apanya 14? 12 lah, Christopher. Ya Allah, salah. Okey, sekejap. Sekejap ya. So you got it correct. Okay, does anyone got it correct? All right, so the next activity to select is G because G is cheaper than A. So what you need to do now is you need to redraw your network diagram, okay? And you substitute G, okay? Instead of 4, you put 2. So, and what you need to do now is you need to calculate the completion time. So now you can have the completion time equals to 10. All right. So the total additional cost, okay, that you should provide if you want to reduce or crash the activity from 14 to 10 is total is 800. Ini faham ya? Faham? Boleh faham tak? Boleh faham? And what is your critical activities? Your F note, okay, your time to latest finish is still wrong, Christopher. As well as to the latest finish for C. Your C and your F note, the time for C and F note both are not correct, Christopher. All right. I believe that the critical, okay. What is the critical activities? If you're able to crash from 14 to 10 weeks, so what is the critical activities? Is it B and E considered as critical activities? Boleh?
Boleh BEG.
So kamu ada dua route lah . So now you have two routes for critical activities, which is A, D, and G, dan B, E, dan G. Okay, so this is very important for you to take note the critical activities. All right. So now, based on your 10 weeks of your completion time, what you need to do more is you need to crash, okay, to 7 weeks. So now your A, D, and G, okay, considered are critical activities, okay. And as you can see that you consume all the crash time for activity G as well. So you cannot crash D and G anymore. So B, E considered as critical activities. So can you select which one is the cheapest? Okay, out of these 3 critical activities, which is A, okay. A is critical activity, okay, and the crash cost for activity A is 600. Okay, B, the crash cost for activity B is 700, and E is the cheapest. So you can select E. Okay. You need to crash 10 weeks to 7 weeks. Okay, if you can see here that activity E can be crashed from 6 to 3, meaning that you can shorten 3 weeks from activity E. So can you change, okay, Now you draw your network diagram and change your activity for E. Instead of 6, can you just put 3? And find a new completion time. Boleh faham? Boleh faham? Ada masalah? Okay. Can I see your new network diagram if you crash from 10 to 7 weeks? All right. Okay, if you crash it 3 weeks, okay, the additional cost would be 150. So use all the E and you still cannot get 7 weeks for the completion time. So you need to crash one more week. So there are two more critical activities left, which is A and B. So A is 600 and B is 700. So you need to choose A. And you can crash A only 1 week. All right. So on your new network diagram, so you change the time for activity A from 3 to 2. Okay, so can you get the completion time equals to 7? All right, remember the crashing activities actually requires you to redraw the network the network diagram based on how many crashing that you are doing. Banyak banyak. So for this one, you need to do a lot of practice if you want to draw the network diagram in a very if you want to draw the network diagram quickly.
Doktor.
Yeah.
So kira kalau setiap kali kita lukis diagram baru boleh buat satu changes je lah.
Ya betul. Ya betul. Satu changes saja. Alright. Finally, okay, if you crash activity A from 3 to 2, will you be able to get the completion time equals to 7? Dapat tak?
Dapat Doktor.
Okay, good. So your total additional cost if you want to crash the project from 10 to 7 is 150 plus 600. So 750 the additional cost if you want to crash from 10 to 7. But in total, if you want to the total cost if you want to crash the job from 14 to 7, okay, the company has to bear the additional cost of 800 plus 750, which is berapa tu? 1,550 kan? So total cost is 1,550. So in a real project, this cost could be actually multiple of thousands, okay? Or multiple of 10,000s or multiple of 100,000. It is a very huge cost, okay? So try to avoid crashing the cost as much as possible. So how can you avoid crashing the cost? You need to do the planning properly so that your completion time will not behind the schedule. So, all right, I will give the question for crashing cost. So those actually considered as homework and you need to submit, but I will not give you during this Raya punya holiday. I will give once you start selepas Raya. Alright, so that's it for this for the first half of the semester. Selamat Hari Raya. Jumpa lagi lepas Raya. Selamat Hari Raya. Mak Aizah Batin. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. See
Selamat Hari Raya, Doktor.
Okay.
Thank you, Doktor.
Selamat Hari Raya, Doktor. Selamat Hari Raya, Doktor.
Thank you, Doktor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doktor. Selamat Raya.
Sama.